On today's show, it was heartbreak for Canada at the Winter Olympics, but 3 Ottawa Senators are coming home with medals around their necks.
And the Sens have also made a trio of recalls, but will they actually suit up for a game?
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today is Monday, February 23rd, and Pilsy, what would you have done with that stuffy they handed out if you were getting your silver medal with it?
I mean, that was probably the most enraging part of it. And why didn't they do the medal and the stuffy at the same time if you're going to do it? Like, to do the medals and then do the stuffies, I would have done a full head decapitation immediately with it. And it's like a little weasel attached to a little human or something. I think maybe that's one where the IOC could be like, you know what, maybe we won't hand out the stuffies this time.
I'm going to go the other direction. I think they should bring this tradition to the National Hockey League. You lose in the Stanley Cup final, everyone gets a plush doll of the other team's mascot.
Yeah. Oh man, that's brutal. Did you think anyone was gonna take the medal off immediately or throw away that? Like, did you think we were gonna see any kind of angry retaliations?
The Leah Sanderson move, just toss that in the crowd.
I didn't think anyone was gonna toss the medal into the crowd, but I thought maybe Nathan MacKinnon would, as soon as they put it on, take it off or something like that.
He might have missed.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can get
tough game for Nate MacKinnon. I'm laughing so that I don't cry. That was as emotional of a game as you could imagine. And I mean, let me start by saying hockey is in a very good spot. The quality of that game was outrageous.
And not just, obviously we'll focus on that game, but the quality of all the knockout games, or at least I'll say most of them, were very good. Like that, this gold medal game was one of the best hockey games we've seen in a long time. Best on best, 1-1 game going into overtime. I said it all tournament long, Ross, for the knockout games, 3-on-3 overtime just should not be a thing. And yeah, I would have said the same thing if Canada wins.
I tweeted out before overtime just to make sure that I didn't get people saying, oh, you wouldn't have said that if they won. Yeah, I mean it. The medal round overall, like it used to be 4-on-4, and that's fine. That's at least still, that's still hockey. 3-on-3, you take out any advantage for either team because there's so much skill on both sides. It's just who's going to get the first bounce.
Hockey is played 5-on-5 with the goalie. In an opportunity to win an Olympic gold medal at best on best, why would there be any argument for it not to be played 5-on-5 with a goalie? Play it the way God intended, with normal circumstances, 20-minute periods, sudden death, next goal wins, the golden goal. I get it. 3-on-3 is exciting, but I think there's like, you got to try to keep it. Or like, what if curling, if it goes to extra, extra ends? Is that extra ends? They're like, screw it. We're going to add another rock, or we're going to you only get one sweeper or one broom. Like, they don't do that for any other sport.
You got to flip your broom upside down.
Yeah, like, yeah, you're on the penalty kill, upside down broom. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy to me. Now, obviously, if there's Americans watching this, they're probably saying cope, rent free, all those great insults. But the bottom line is, we can complain all we want about how there was a blatant too many men on the ice call missed. We can complain that Canada missed prime opportunities. Nathan MacKinnon right there, Connor McDavid breakaway, Macklin Celebrini breakaway, Devon Taves right there with a wide open net. Connor Hellebuyck is the reason this game went the way it did. And you got to give, I mean, Matt Boldy's goal was absolutely insane. To do that by himself through Canada's top D pair and still score was incredible. Jack Hughes, great shot. But all of this is Connor Hellebuyck becoming the goalie that everyone thought he was, but just wasn't able to do in big moments, in big games. I'm talking playoffs and the Four Nations face-off. He does it this time, and that's what it comes down to, because Canada dominated this game. They just couldn't beat him enough times to get the win.
Yeah, just the once, and he was on top of his game. And I think there's almost, and I want to be careful here because he has had some stinkers, but where Connor Hellebuck's reputation is a little bit exaggerated. If you look at his numbers in elimination games, Nick Leenham had it on Twitter. He's got a .928 save percentage in 14 elimination games. Now he's only won 6. He's won 6 out of the 14 games. So that's where it comes. Like, he hasn't been on the right side of them, but .928 save percentage on 428 shots. Like, he's a great goalie.
But his overall playoff numbers are not great, though.
No,
right?
no, overall they're not. And on the road especially. But you look at it and coming to the tournament, where did the U.S. have the best advantage over Canada? In goal. They flexed that. And it wasn't Binnington's reason they lost, but
yeah,
the goaltending's the great equalizer in hockey, and you got to tip your cap. And look, the way that I'm coping with this loss for Canada is it is the greatest rivalry in sports for sure. Canada, U.S., men's hockey, and women's hockey for that matter. Both games going to overtime. Just unfortunate you're at the wrong side of it in both games. But for a rivalry to be a rivalry, both teams have to win.
Yep. And
up to this point, it had been all Canada. So
first U.S. men's hockey gold medal in 46 years, I believe. So it had been a while for them.
And their only wins against Canada were in the preliminary rounds, where later in both tournaments, 2010 in Vancouver and the Four Nations, Canada ended up getting the last laugh. So I think that it's going to be really interesting to see in 4 years' time, because you look at the pipeline for Canada, and I know I've already seen some very excited fans who are doing mock lineups. I think our guy Nick Spence was one of them, where you're like, okay, what's it going to look like in 4 years? You won't have Mark Stone. Everybody's got their fingers crossed that we'll get one more Sidney Crosby Olympics.
We will.
I want to stick on that, though, because Sidney Crosby historically puts his team ahead of himself, and he knows that if he's not at his best, he shouldn't play. He could have toughed it out and gone out there and given them 5 minutes, but not been Sidney Crosby. And we actually saw that. I forget if it was 08 or 09 in the Stanley Cup final. He was injured in game 6 and sat on the bench and would not play. Didn't feel like he was going to be able to help his team. So he's not one of those guys where, if they're like, let's say Matthew Tkachuk last year in Four Nations, where he tried to play, ended up sitting on the bench, but did give it a try when he really shouldn't have, missed the rest of the regular season. Crosby's not going to do that. So that's why I'm thinking if Crosby's a 50-point player in the NHL, he might call Team Canada and be like, I can't help you guys. Like, I can't be myself. Like, it's almost selfless to a fault. Now, everybody, 40 million plus people in Canada, and I'd say even Americans, especially those in Pittsburgh, they want to see Sidney Crosby keep playing forever. So will Sidney Crosby be at the next Olympics is the big question mark, but the talent that's coming up for Canada right now, from Matthew Schaefer and Connor Bedard, who are both left at home and already in the NHL, to the first overall pick expected in the 2027 draft in Landon Dupont. Boy, do we know that Canada is going to need some defensemen here in the pipeline coming up soon. Gavin McKenna, who knows whether he'll be first, second, or third in this upcoming draft. He's a stud. Maddox Schultz, if you want to get really far ahead of yourself, already lighten up the WHL at 15. There's a lot coming for Canada, and I think if you're the States, yeah, they're still in their prime, and a lot of those guys will be back in 2030, and they'll be defending a gold medal on top of it. But this really felt like the U.S.'s best chance to get gold, and Canada still took them to overtime and took them to the cleaners in terms of the way that the game unfolded. Like, goal saved above expected, Pilsy. Connor Hellebuck was plus 4.6. Like, that would be one of the best games in the NHL all season.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's what I said. Hellebuck won them this game, and Binnington was really good as well. Like you look at the Boldy goal. Like I'm putting that probably on Makar and Taves, who get
Taves didn't get stick on puck.
Yeah, so I'm putting that probably more on them there. And then the golden goal, Nathan McKinnon is the first one to that puck in the D zone. And for some reason, and you mentioned to me, Ross, he's coming off the bench there, so he's got fresh legs. For some reason, he gets within inches of the puck and then decides to stop up, let Werenski get the puck. And then not only does he let Werenski get the puck, Werenski gives him the hard shoulder and out-muscles Nathan MacKinnon, of all guys, the dog, for that puck, and then gets it over to Hughes, who scores. Like, when I was watching that, I was like, what? Is he afraid of that puck there? What's going on? Like, that was crazy. I mean, obviously, you can look at Makar pinching there. And when you pinch in 3-on-3, you're taking a double or nothing risk there. Either you get it and you get the odd man break, or you miss it and the odd man break comes back the other way. That's how 3-on-3 goes every single time. It's the first team to make a mistake is going to be the one that's losing. And unfortunately, it's Canada there.
Yeah, and they got lucky earlier in overtime, too. Quinn Hughes' shot hit the top of Binnington's glove and just went wide.
But that's a good save by Binnington.
Great save by Binnington. Yep. And Canada lost with their 3 best players on the ice. So
yeah, which is crazy to see. And that's the thing. You go to 3-on-3 overtime, Ross. I don't know about you, but I was like, this is a better chance for Canada to win than 5-on-5. Like, you've got
yes and no. Like you said, it's just whoever makes the first mistake, because there is so much skill on both teams.
But if you're talking 3 players, the United States do not have anything close to McKinnon, to McDavid, to Makar, let alone the 3 of them. So that's where you think, all right, that's where you're going to get it done. One of these guys is going to be a hero here. It
didn't happen.
Yep.
Didn't happen. And Canada got a silver medal, falling 2-1 to the States. Jack Hughes with the winner there. And I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot of conversations about what could have been. But in the end, you go to overtime of the final game. You're undefeated to that point. Sure, they took a bit of a scenic route there. Really nail biters against Czechs in the quarterfinals and the Finns in the semis. But man, what an amazing hockey game. Just unfortunate the way it ends there in overtime. And Jake Sanderson, Brady Tkachuk bringing home a gold medal. Nicholas Matinpalo with a bronze to boot. And if you're going with off-ice members of the Ottawa Senators as well, Johnny Forget and Dom Nicoletta, who was very busy the last couple of days trying to get Sidney Crosby ready to go for that game. They come home with a silver medal. But what should the expectations be for Brady Tkachuk and Jake Sanderson specifically? Those guys, who knows when they're going to be back in Ottawa, let alone in the lineup. The Sens are back in game form on Thursday night against the Detroit Red Wings. We'll discuss that next. And then a trio of recalls. Last week, it was an unofficial call-up, but now it's official. But does that mean that Carter Yakimchuk or Tyler Boucher could make their Senators debut? That's next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? Well, FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. So if you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock in. I love getting future bets in this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can your pick win, but it can also send you to the finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen each and every day and helping the Locked On Podcast Network become the #1 sports podcast network. You already make us your team every day, so why not join the Everydayers Club? We've got a promo code for a 1-month free trial of the Locked On Senators Everydayer Club. Just use the code DEADLINE. Deadline is the promo code as we approach the NHL trade deadline. So give it a try. Ad-free content right to wherever you already listen to Locked On Senators. All right, Pilsy. Are you happy for Jake Sanderson and Brady Tkachuk yet, or has the loss not sunk in quite yet?
No, I am. And obviously, just like all other Canadians, I was devastated when that goal went in. I was I wanted to feel that excitement. I wanted to feel that emotion. I wanted to feel that pride for Canada winning that gold medal. Get robbed of that. But look, you got to tip your cap to Team USA. They get the win. Hellbuck was amazing. Jack Hughes, I mean, I don't know if there's a more hockey iconic type play than scoring a golden goal in overtime against your biggest rival with a chipped bloody tooth. Like that's hockey right there. And Brady Tkachuk, Jake Sanderson, both of them having really good Olympics in my opinion. And look, this means a lot to these guys. I know there's a lot of Canadians that don't necessarily love how the captain of Canada's capital city, the Ottawa Senators, is so pro-American. But, I mean, you can't blame him for having pride in his country. Jake Sanderson, same thing. Would we have liked to see them get silver and feel like, hey, good job getting silver, but Canada still the number one team, obviously. But as a Sens fan, I'm happy that Brady Tkachuk and Jake Sanderson get to experience that, and they deserve it.
Yeah, they do. So stick taps to friend of the show, Brady Tkachuk, along with Jake Sanderson on being able to bring home the gold medal. Neither of them played a big role in that final game.
No, I didn't notice Sanderson for the second half of that game hardly at all. And then Brady didn't get a lot of shifts. They took him off that line with Eichel and his brother.
Jake Sanderson finished the tournament with 2 assists in 6 games, -2, no penalty minutes. And Brady Tkachuk finishes with 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points in 6 games. He was a +7 with 12 penalty minutes as he and his brother got tossed at the end of that Slovak semifinal just so that the shenanigans with Eric Chernak would stop. But those guys have had a whirlwind since winning that game, obviously partying, rightfully so, in Milan. And now they are flying to Miami, where they will celebrate again tonight. Then, sounds like they all might be going to the White House tomorrow. And that would be a Tuesday, which would mean that at the earliest, they will be back in Ottawa on Wednesday. The Senators play the Red Wings on Thursday. Do you think they're going to be in the lineup for that game?
I sure hope so. Either one of those guys, let alone both of them, missing the Sens' first game back would not be a good look. I'll just say that. And look, I'm not trying to be a party pooper. You just won an Olympic gold medal. You want to live it up. Nothing wrong with that. Go have fun, have a good time. But you got a job to do. Brady, you're the captain of this team. Sanderson, you're the number one defenseman. You got to be back in time to do your job, in my opinion. And I'm hoping they play. If they do, I'll probably have low expectations. I mean, that is a gauntlet of travel. And obviously when you're not getting a lot of sleep, not hydrating properly, probably not eating to your normal routines.
Sandy's probably still got the smoothies going.
Sandy's probably still going to bed at 8:30 and is staying responsible. Brady, a different story. But they might be a little off at least the first game. So we'll see how that goes. And we'll see even if they end up playing. We'll get to the call-ups later on in the show. But I'm just glad, Ross, that at least the Sens don't play their first game till Thursday. Like, I'm looking at the games on Wednesday. We'll just say for the East, Sabres Devils, Flyers Capitals, and Leafs Lightning. Like, if you're a Leafs fan and Austin Matthews, the captain of Team USA, isn't back in time for that game up against the Lightning, a big one for your team.
Yeah, I'm going to go so far as saying they need to be in the lineup on Thursday. Like you said, it's an extra day from what a bunch of other teams have. Now, Connor Hellebuyck, different story, right? Like, that not only is Winnipeg completely out of it, but it's a bit different going if they're landing in Miami and then the Jets play Wednesday in Vancouver. That's a long way to go again. But if you're on the eastern side,
and I think he could back up. That's different being a goalie. Like, maybe you just let him back up that first game.
But the Ottawa Senators, they need points so badly. I agree. I think it would be a very bad look if neither of them are in the lineup.
And
for that
to
game.
add emphasis, you're up against the Detroit Red Wings. Like, this isn't like we talked about the other day. Like, you're not coming back to the Seattle Kraken or a team that doesn't really matter in the Sens sphere or in the standings. Like, this is a massive game. And then you got the Leafs right after that. So it's of utmost importance that your captain and number one defenseman are back in the lineup.
And I think it would also be a bad look if one of them plays. And I think we all know which one would be more likely to play.
Definitely. So again, and we're not trying to say you can't celebrate moments, you can't have fun, but you get paid to do a job. And
you know what? If these guys hadn't pissed away points as much as they did earlier in the season, take the day off. Like if Dylan Larkin doesn't play Thursday, well, the Detroit Red Wings are tied for second in the division. It's a little bit different for an Ottawa Senators team that you think has 7 regulation losses available to them the rest of the season.
Well, and I think there also is a difference. You can argue whether it should be a difference or not. Ottawa is a Canadian team. Your captain missing time because he's celebrating USA gold medal. Probably not going to have the same.
Well, definitely among the fan base for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Whereas people in Detroit are probably like, yeah, you won our country a medal and we're sitting in a better spot in the standings. Larkin, take a day off. Like maybe that's fair, but I don't think we're going to get that same slack from the fan base here in Canada, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see if those guys are available and how they're going to play if they are. Now, it is a home game at least, so maybe that helps things. You're able to settle into a routine, but
I think the other way, Ross. I thought it would be easier, or it would have been a better situation if it was on the road, especially if it was in the States. Obviously, they're going Miami, Washington, so at least they're traveling in the right direction, Ross. Going south to north, just keep going a little more north from Washington, head to Ottawa. But yeah, I think I mean, the Leafs are in Tampa, so that's easier.
Milan to Miami to Washington to Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, you don't got to cross the border. I don't know flight-wise if Washington back to Tampa is shorter than Washington up to Ottawa. I'm sure it's close.
No. Ottawa's closer. I just took that flight this year.
Oh, okay.
Washington to Ottawa is like an hour 20 minutes, hour 30. Like it's pretty close.
What's Washington to Tampa?
Ottawa to Tampa is 3.5 hours. So it's probably like 2. It's not a huge difference, but I think it's a little bit closer to get to Ottawa. But it's going to be fascinating to see how this all plays out. And I mean, you're hoping that they can carry the momentum from this. Like they got to be riding on cloud 9. And if you're the Ottawa Senators and their fan base, you have to be hoping that they're coming in saying, I got the gold. Now let's get a silver mug on top of that. At least like they got to make the playoffs. Like they have to.
Yeah.
They have to. So
yeah, let's get into this aspect of it quickly. Because before, both of us were not of the mindset, hey, best case scenario is Sandy and Brady to win gold to come back. Obviously, we bleed red and white. We wanted Canada to win. I wanted USA to win bronze, so they get the feeling of winning and come back. But they get the ultimate feeling of winning, beating Canada in overtime, getting gold. Brady said it at the Four Nations face-off, and that was a made-up NHL tournament with only 4 teams, not even real best on best, with no Olympic medals on the line, and they lost. And he said, these are the most meaningful games I've played in, and that drove me to be hungry to get more meaningful games under my belt. Ultimately, he helps lead the Sens to the playoffs. So you got to think after getting to that mountain of getting gold, you can't be satisfied with missing the playoffs after. So both those guys highly motivated now. I'm going to spin zone it as this is going to really push them even more to want to make sure that they're making playoffs.
And Brady Tkachuk came back, man, on a mission after the Four Nations. He was injured right immediately after he made his return. The game we were at against San Jose, scored a huge goal in the third period, 6 shots in that game. He had 8 goals and 11 points in his final 16 games of the season. And a couple of the other ones, just one was after the second injury, and he was -2, no points in that final game of the season. Didn't matter. But really, like the games that truly mattered for Ottawa, let's go up until they clinched a playoff spot. That's 8 goals in 14 games, 11 points. And the Sens went 10-3-1 in those games. They got to put together a similar 10-3-1 type record in their upcoming games if they're going to make a push. So Brady, buddy, we love you. It's showtime now for the Ottawa Senators. Put that jersey on proudly. Make sure that you're dialed in, because this fan base is going to be pissed if there's no playoffs come spring in Ottawa. Tomorrow, we'll get in a little bit of a reset on the standings, where everybody's at, and we'll touch on practice, which we will hope has an extra participant or two tomorrow. That would be Tim Stützle, Nicholas Matenpalo. Neither was on the ice today, but some interesting faces were. We'll talk about that next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moments. Getting tickets, though, that part, not always so simple. But that's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. You can just pull up the Game Time app, find an NBA game, and tickets can be had in minutes. You can see the price, all-in pricing up front, no surprise fees at checkout. I love how you can see the view from your seat before buying, so it's going to make your decision easy. Zone deals are clutch. You choose the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save. Great last-minute options, too. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. Game Time's where I get my tickets, and you can too. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not .com.
All right, Pillsy. So practice is back for the Ottawa Senators. Still shorthanded. None of the Olympians on the ice except for Lars Eller. So that means it is a call-up situation where Carter Yakimchuk, Tyler Boucher, and Stephen Halliday have been recalled, and they're all in the mix at practice today. But they had the unofficial call-up. Now it's real. Do you think that makes it more likely that they're going to play, or is this just like, hey, we can't keep calling them up without like paying him NHL salary for the day?
Well, we're seeing other teams do similar call-ups. I think maybe we'd have to get our guy Brian from Capway just here. I wonder if the roster freeze being lifted means you have to make it official now. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. So there could be that. Also, they're trying to fill in numbers for practice, have proper practices with the right amount of guys. And thirdly, we just spent a segment talking about this. It's no coincidence that Stephen Halliday is likely going to play no matter what. He's kind of an NHL guy now, but it's no coincidence that it's a forward and a defenseman also being called up. This very likely could be insurance if Brady and or Sandy aren't going to play for that first game.
That's not the way I want Carter Yakimchuk to make his NHL debut.
And Tyler Boucher.
Yeah, that as well. But I mean, he's going to be in a more limited role. I think if Yakimchuk gets called up, he's got to get touches. He's got to get into the game. He can't be playing 12, 13 minutes. He can't be sitting on the bench for the most of it. I think you need to play him to his strength, which is the feel of the game and being able to get into it in every facet of that game. So again, we're hopeful that this is just insurance and that the Ottawa Senators will have their best players in the lineup for tomorrow or for Thursday's game. The lines feels like if you're going placeholder style, it's Lars Eller filling in at center for Tim Stützle between Claude Giroux and Drake Batherson. And then Fabian Zetterlund is getting a spin where Brady Tkachuk typically plays alongside Dylan Cousins and Ridley Gregg. You've got the Pinto line staying together with Cousins and Amadio. And how's this for a line? Stephen Halliday with Curtis McDermott and Tyler Boucher. The D pairs were all a jumble, but hey, great for those guys to get a spin at the NHL level, and especially that's got to feel good for Tyler Boucher. I mean, it's been almost 5 years since he was the 10th overall pick, and this is the first time he's put a Sens jersey on, albeit a practice one, outside of the preseason. So this got to feel good for him.
Definitely. And hey, you get a couple extra shekels paycheck-wise. That's nice. You get to be at practice with the guys. And Belleville doesn't play till Friday, so they don't have to worry about that as well. Again, I'm with you. I'm hoping that neither Boucher or Yakimchuk plays. And that's nothing against those guys. We'd love to see them get their NHL debuts, but certainly when you're looking at Brady Tkachuk or Jake Sanderson playing, or Tyler Boucher and Carter Yakimchuk getting their NHL debuts, I would like to have the former. of the two playing there, because these points are so crucial here. And I'd like Yak and Bush to get called up on better circumstances.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Speaking of those guys, what the hell is going on in Belleville? They had a nice little push there for a while, and it's just fallen completely flat. Belleville's only got 2 wins in their last 10 games.
Yeah, it's very bad in Belleville. Now, I think I'm very close to pushing the panic button for the Belleville Senators, but
push it, dude.
Wait. They do have 4 straight games up against the Utica Comets, the only team below the Belleville Senators. They have to win all 4 of these games, just to be still in the mix, because don't forget all the games in hand that they have on every single team in the division, and they're still in 6th place out of 7. So they have to win all 4 games up against the Utica Comets just to stay alive. If they lose one of those games, it's panic button time, and I don't think they really have a chance.
So clean sweep, or else it's season over for Belleville, more or less.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even they could win all those games and not gain any traction in the standings, because Utica is below them and other teams ahead of them have games in hand. So we'll see how that goes. But like, you can't be losing at all at this point to the worst team in the division.
Mad Sogard made his return from the Olympics, allowed 4 goals on 28 shots in a 4-0 loss. So whether he let in 4 or 1, it didn't matter, because Belleville's offense was completely anemic in that game. They only mustered 20 shots on goal. So you can't even go like, oh, they doubled up in shots like they did last weekend and still lost. No, this was a bad game for Belleville. And I'm frustrated, because on paper they should be a lot better than they are, but it's not clicking for whatever reason. And it needs to be figured out quick, because look, I think there's been a lot of leash for this management group. We understand that they came into a situation where, like, look at this year, perfect example. They don't have their own first and they don't have their own second, and neither of those was given up by Steve Stajos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
tough.
It's obviously a predicament, but at the same time, like Belleville, it seems like in the American Hockey League, you should be able to rebuild rather quickly, because there's so many free agents every year. It's just how much are you willing to spend and how are you able to build a team. They hire a full-time general manager for that role in Matt Turek, and this has been one of the more disappointing seasons of Belleville Sens hockey that there's been in the 9 years it's happened.
Easily the most disappointing, Ross, because not only do they have a blue chip prospect in Tkachuk, sure, he got injured, but he's still playing a decent amount of these games. They brought in guys like Lixell, Kaliev, and those guys are doing good. You're seeing a resurgence from Bourgault. They brought in extra veteran defensemen, guys like Crotty, Harrington. Levi Merlainen wasn't supposed to play a single game in the AHL. Now he's their number 1 guy there for the foreseeable future. Like, I thought this team was poised to, at the very least, finish 5th in the North Division, and that seems like a long shot now. So yeah, certainly disappointing here, but yeah, I mean, it's all about the Ottawa Senators. Obviously, we want Belleville to do well. I love going there for playoffs. It's fun. The good people of the Bay of Quinte deserve a good team and all that, but all this is setting up to be like, how can you get these guys, most specifically Tkachuk, in good spots to develop properly, to be better players in Ottawa? And right now, like, being in Belleville doesn't seem like it's exactly a good place to shine up your prospects.
2 work weeks away from the NHL trade deadline, not this Friday, but next, March 6th. The trade freeze has been lifted. Nothing was in the queue. No deals came out today, but we'll see just how much this upcoming stretch, most specifically Thursday against Detroit and Saturday in Toronto, goes before really putting the clamps down, saying, Stevie, what are we doing here with this team? Bruce Garriock reporting that the price is astronomically high for any defenseman on the market. I think we're putting Nick Jensen on the market then. You want to pay a premium or not pay a premium for another one? Just a 2nd-round pick. That's all we ask for, right?
Sure.
Right?
I'm in. I want to see one of those or 2 of the 3rd-round picks used. No matter what, they got to
just to show that you're doing something to help improve your team right now. Give the boys a boost.
Now, Ross, if those were 4th-round picks, absolutely not. Everybody knows the draft is won and lost in the 4th round. But 3rd round, yeah, you can throw those things around like fun coupons.
Billsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me is, a little more time to get over that Canada loss.
Brutal.
Tuesday is the final buffer day in between NHL hockey being back. Wednesday, we turn the page. Thursday, it's back to Sens hockey, baby. And we're here the whole step of the way. Your team every day. We're leading up to it. We're fired up for Sens hockey.
Yeah, we're super excited for it. How many games left? 25, 24 on the dot? Oh, math guy. 25. 25 games to make up a 6-point span between the Boston Bruins and the Ottawa Senators. Who's Boston got out of the break?
I will tell you.
They play Thursday at home against Columbus.
Columbus, Philly, and Pitt are the next 3 games.
Okay. Yeah, we basically spent all the East versus West games. Those tokens are gone.
And they did nothing for us. Thanks a lot, West Coast.
Nah, no help. No help from the West. Really frustrating. You got to make your own luck. You got to figure it out right now. Lock in right now.
Right now.
Lock in, please. Tim Stützle is such a beauty. This guy's sitting on the bench watching practice. Like, he wants to be out there with the boys. I'm expecting a superstar run for Tim Stützle. Not that he hasn't been on one recently, but I'm expecting this guy. I hate to say lead the team because it's still Brady's team, but I'm expecting Tim Stützle to be the reason if Ottawa is able to make the playoffs.
And I mean, all he has to do is continue what he's doing. Like, he's been incredible. Same with Sandy and same with Brady. We talked about it statistically. Brady is having career numbers recently, whether people like what they see or not. He is performing. So if those 3 guys can continue to get it done, and then you get the boost from the supporting cast, the Cousins, the Bathersons, the Shabots, and most importantly, it's all going to come down to the goaltending. Linus Ullmark, and to an extent, James Reimer, because all these games are important. He's going to play back-to-backs, I assume, I hope. They're going to be the 2 guys that decide the fate of this team.
Since the Senators got that win against Vancouver, including that game, they're 8-3-2 in their last 13 games. Tim Stützle has 9 goals and 16 points in those 13 games. He's been everything you could ask for and more, including the last time you saw a Sens jersey on the ice was Tim Stützle dangling, deking, scoring, and winning the game for the Sens against the Philadelphia Flyers. So we're excited for that to come back. Tomorrow we'll have more clarity on whether or not Brady Tkachuk, Jake Sanderson will be in the lineup for the Senators game against Detroit, and we'll break all that down on tomorrow's Locked On Senators. We're also going to look at some X factors going forward for this team. The obvious ones, well, they're clear, but there's a few other things that the Senators are going to have to rely on to make a push towards the Stanley Cup playoffs. For today, we say goodbye. Thanks so much for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.